All right, welcome to another 902 gaming video. Today, I'm going to go over some of the new spoilers that came out yesterday. Um, there was three new dragons actually, which is kind of cool. Um, the first one is it looks like it's a green dragon. It's 5 mana, legendary creature, dragon spirit. Kura, the Boundless Sky, has flying death touch. When it dies, you can search your library for up to 3 lands, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Okay. Or create an XX green spirit creature token, where X is the number of lands you control. Okay, so it's 5 mana. It's a 4/4 flying death touch. That's not bad. I think if you look at it in terms of where it would fit right now, at 5 mana, you're competing with red and 7 in the mono green deck. I don't know. I think the searching, it's kind of, I always feel like it's not really a draw 3 cards because drawing 3 lands doesn't really help you at all. I mean, it can thin out your deck a little bit. If it put them into play, it would have been much, much better, which would have made the second Kura the Boundless Sky much better. You can use them in combination, I guess, with you can use Kura the Boundless Sky and Ren and 7, or if you have a Ren and 7 in play, then you can put the 3 lands directly into play. But then you're talking double 5 drops, and well, that's okay. This will mostly be used for the second half. Create an XX green spirit creature token. So at the very worst, it'll create, if you ramp it out with like a mana elf or something like that, it'll be a 4/4. So, but just basically being 5 land or 5 mana, it's gonna be a 5/5 most of the time. So that's the side I see it being used for. I don't see it being used for the other side very often, unless there's some specific land combination. It is possible because it says land and not basic land cards. You can get, some of the lands with channel and stuff on them. So that's a possibility. There could be some play there. But other than that, I see it being used majority of the time for the second half. It's cool. It's a mythic. I don't think it's anything mind-blowing. Not yet, anyway. We'll have to see what other lands come out. It's good to get It's good to get like the creature lands. Field of Ruin and stuff like that. That's okay. But I think generally it'll be used for the second half. I could be wrong though. All right. And next up we have Kyra, the Swirling Sky. This one is 6 mana. It's a 6/6. All right. Dragon Spirit is flying, ward 3. I think it's kind of annoying a little bit that the blue creatures are all getting ward. Blue's already hard enough to deal with. Giving their creatures ward on top of that, while the format already has some good counter spells, it's kind of annoying. But that's fine. Whenever it dies, choose one. So you can return any number of non-land permanents with total mana value 6 or less to their owner's hands. Okay, so you can return, up to 6 1 mana cards, 3 2 mana cards, some combination thereof, a 4 and a 2 mana. That's okay. Or you can mill 6 cards, then return them to 2 instant or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. Again, I see it being used the majority of the time for the second ability. Although I don't see this dying that often unless you were somehow killing it yourself. Ward 3 is pretty powerful. Even the cheapest removal spell, like Infernal Grasp or something like that, it's going to cost 5 mana to kill this thing. It does slot in pretty good in the blue-red deck because there's not a lot of 6 mana spells in the deck. It could be a one of in that deck, and then you can return, 2 spells from your graveyard. Yeah, I don't see it being used for the first one that often, because I don't see this card dying that often. War 3 kind of makes sure it almost never dies unless you're sacrificing it or something yourself. It is possible, obviously. But then this is a very good card, I think. I just don't know where it's going to end up fitting in. Yeah, there's not really much to say. I don't think it's the finisher of choice right now. If you watched the video that I posted yesterday, I still think Hull Breacher is going to be the finisher of choice for the blue-red deck or the blue-X deck, whatever it happens to be. This could go in maybe some type of reanimation strategy, like the Solar Flare sort of strategy. It's like Esper and plays, draw and discard and, then reanimate some stuff. I could see it being played there. So that's good that it kind of potentially opens up that, because it's a very good creature to actually reanimate from your graveyard, because it can't be killed that easily. Unlike, every other large creature that you reanimate. And if you're playing Hull Breacher, there's not much point in reanimating it. The better deck for Hull Breacher is the blue-red deck. So, plus this also mills cards, which could potentially also be important. Okay, so that's the Kyrie, the Swirling Sky. And last we have the Dawn Sky, which is a 5-mana flying vigilance. When it dies, choose one. So you can look at the top 7 cards of your library, put any number of non-land permanent cards with total mana value less than 4 or 4 or less among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest of them bottom of your library in the order. That's a pretty good ability for a 5-mana. So basically, you look at the top 7. You can put 4 1-mana spells, a 4-mana spell. Getting free spells is very, very good. Or you can put 2+1/+1 counters on each permanent you control that's a creature or vehicle. Again, the lesser of the two. It's not bad. It can pump an army if you're playing, if you got a bunch of creatures out, even 2 or 3 2 other creatures out, and you try to kill this. You can put the Seeker's Chariot out. There's, you can put any number of the Planeswalkers that are 4 mana. There's a lot of options for this card. I think there's a lot of things to actually hit with this card. Considering this is 5 mana, it's going to be the top of your curve. So likely, unless you whiff completely, this is kind of like a Collected Company, sort of, for potentially up to 2 cards. I don't imagine this being like 4 cards or 3 cards even. Well, I don't think it could technically be 3 cards unless one is costed 0. And I don't think there are any 0 costing artifacts in Standard right now. Again, I don't know about the rest of the formats. I mean, you look at the power level of the rest of the cards in other formats, and then you can determine, where this is going to slot in there. Obviously, it's more powerful the further back you go in formats. Like if you go into Historic, and same with Alchemy as well. I'm only referring to these cards in a standard context, as long as Standard still remains relevant. Yeah, there's quite a few cards that you can actually get off of this. So this one, unlike Kura, unlike Kura, which gets you 3 lands. Again, I think that's relevant because it's not basic lands. And this one, this is also non-land permanent. So if, you can whiff by hitting 7 lands, much like you did with, if you ever cast Collect Company and the same thing happened. I think Collect Company is 6 cards though, but either way, I've hit 6 lands with that card before. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility to hit 7 land cards with this. Although very unlikely. Yeah, I think this is a very good card. A thing to note with this card too, same with the Green Dragon. It's under the 5 mana threshold for Storm the Festival. Yeah. So it hits, both of those dragons can actually hit. So with a green-white deck, you can actually hit both of these cards, which is pretty sweet. Don't forget to, something I didn't mention with any of these legends, they can also legend rule themselves. So you could actually hit, if you did cast Storm the Festival, you could actually hit 2 AOs, and then you can sacrifice one of them to legend rule, and then you can actually then use it to put 2 more cards. So essentially you could dig down like 12 cards in your deck with both of these, with Storm the Festival and this card. But again, something to remember too is the legend rule with these dragons. There's a red dragon one as well, and we saw the black dragon as well the other day. But yeah, that'll do for the spoilers. There's only 3 new dragons. They're pretty sweet. I think the white one, I think the blue one's pretty good. I just don't know if it fits in like a control style deck. Maybe it does. Maybe it's the blue black finisher of choice instead of Hull Breacher, but I don't imagine that it would be. But I think Kyrie, the home for it will likely be in some sort of, because it mills your own cards. It'll be in some form of like Solar Flare deck. Something that draws and discards and then reanimates. You can use. This can be in even Sultai version, Diagraph Rebirth. It'll allow you to return the Diagraph Rebirth as well if it dies. So yeah, I could see it being played there in a deck like that, because Ward 3 in a reanimation strategy where you can pop this out on turn 4 is pretty good, because your opponent won't really be able to deal with it that easily without spending a lot of mana to kill it. So yeah, that'll do it for the spoilers today. Hopefully there's going to be some new ones coming up. There's also the ban restricted announcement that's going to be announced today at some point, although I'm assuming it's some Pacific time or something like that. But anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and look forward to Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and I'll see you in the next one.